Hi everyone, Meteorologist Carly Smith here. Thank you for joining. If you saw my post earlier about being live at 10 a.m., I do want to just go ahead and apologize for being 15 minutes late. We have a meeting that goes typically from 9:30 to 10, and I was all invested in it because we were discussing the air show and it not coming back to Kingsville, which is very sad in my opinion, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for the cold front, and so we're going to talk about the cold front. So let's get started. Right now we are looking at, this is a temperature graphic that I have that demonstrates hot and cold, and essentially we are warm right now because high pressure has parked itself over the southeast. And what that high pressure is going to do is essentially keep bringing up that warmer air, right? As that cold front slides south, we're going to get the cooler air, but there's a lot of factors in play that are going to impact this front. And so you can see it is making quite the country look quite blue. It doesn't look like we're going to be super cold with this front, but we are going to be on the colder side. In fact, here's a look at your temperature trends. We're talking 50s and 60s, pretty steady, not a huge difference in the high and the low each day. I'll discuss why coming up here in just a second, but before we get to the front, we are talking the chance of reaching a record high both today and tomorrow. We're about 3 degrees shy of the record high based on the forecast that I have here. 88 today, 90 tomorrow, 85 on Thursday is a little lower than the record high on Thursday. But then the cold front swings through. Now, we're going to take a look at those trends. Well, hey, good morning, everyone. We're going to take a look at those trends, but first I want to say good morning to Mark and Corky and Chewy and Maria and Sophie and Guadalupe and Angela and Javi. So good morning, everyone. Hope it's cold enough to where my beer stays cold outside. I don't think it's going to be quite that cold this time. It won't be hot. It won't be hot beer, but it's not going to be ice cold beer. That's one of the few pros of living up somewhere north is you can, when it snows, you can stick your drinks in the snow. Anyway, yes. So we'll get started now as we continue with our temperatures and the trends. So the thing that complicates this front a little bit is we're going to have southwest flow bringing up Pacific moisture into Texas. So not only are we bumping up our Gulf moisture right now, which is one of the reasons why we've been foggy, our dew points have been matching our temperature in the morning, and that's creating radiational fog inland when we have calm winds as well. So that radiational fog has been a problem for areas inland. We may still see a little bit of that today or tonight and tomorrow morning, but I don't see it being quite as dense as it was this morning, especially for those inland areas. So right now we're warmer as we still have southerly winds. That Pacific moisture starts to come into play up ahead of the front. That starts to get tugged up from the Pacific, right? That's what those green lines are indicating, is that jet pumping up the moisture. So we're going to have this like cross action going on, and that cross action is going to lead to more rain. This is very typical for El Nino. That cooler air comes in, the Pacific moisture is coming up, and we get a decent amount of rain coming across Texas. In fact, I just am curious because I didn't look at this morning. So this is the precipitation outlook for the next 5 days, which is going to take us through Saturday. That zonal flow is old. That's from last week. So the Weather Prediction Center, which their main job is figuring out how much rain we're going to get, they are showing 2 inches possible, which I went 2 to 4 inches through Monday is what I said this morning on First Edition. So that's really what we're looking at. There's one more thing I wanted to look at. While my brain is on this wave of rainfall, excessive rain. So right now, the Weather Prediction Center isn't putting out any risk of flooding 5 days out. So that's good news. And now we'll get back. So this is the Weather Prediction Center. The trends have been shifting the heavier rain further and further south. It was kind of a little bit further east. Now, as of this morning, it's a little bit further south. And so we'll take it. We'll take the rain. We are not technically in the worst drought conditions, but we are dry, and we are below normal for this time of year based on our yearly rainfall totals. So we'll take it, what we can get, right? So we'll go back to future track. just rain or thunderstorms. Britain, it could be thunderstorms as the front is moving through. So this Futurecast will show that. Here comes the rain. It's still stuck, getting stuck, which is interesting. I wonder if it's only using one forecast model and not the newest one. Radar. Says latest run, but it's getting stuck, like it hasn't loaded it all the way, which is very strange. So this is the one I showed on first edition. This is now about, it came out around midnight, so it's older, but as the front is moving through, which is trending earlier, especially on this high-res model, we will have thunderstorms potentially along that front. Now the timing may limit how strong our thunderstorms are, because when we do head into night, thunderstorms do tend to weaken just because the sun is so important for creating storm energy. But it looks like as the front is impacting, so essentially, we've got another graphic I can show you. I never have time to show these on first edition. And so let's see, I'm gonna have to put the long range model in. So sometimes I forget that I can show it on our weather computers because I look at this stuff off our weather computers when I'm forecasting. So we got some tweaks to do first. Friday, we need it to go further out than that. Custom, and we will set it for 7 days out. So this is going to be CAPE, or the convective available potential energy, which is what I like to look at when I'm forecasting thunderstorms. And actually, let's look at it with the high-res data that we just saw. That would be better. So this is our longer range high-res definition. It's an in-house computer model. And we probably are gonna need this. Okay, here it is. So you can see the CAPE is low, but it's higher than we have been dealing with. So right now, this is our CAPE. Essentially what the southerly winds and the sunshine do is they create of convective available potential energy at the surface. And that essentially is the amount of energy that we're trying to get an idea of on the forecast that creates rising air. And that energy has the potential to create that rising air that is necessary for a thunderstorm to develop. And so as the front is approaching, we're gonna see low levels of CAPE, so our thunderstorms probably won't be the strongest, but you can see how the CAPE disappears essentially as the front slides through. And so that limits our convective available potential energy, because we're gonna be cooler and we're gonna be cloudy. And so that prevents the sun and the moisture from creating that potential energy, essentially. But ahead of the front, we've got a decent amount. It's not a lot. Typically, when we see like those severe thunderstorms that create those really high winds that cause damage, essentially what we are seeing are more of those orange and reds on your screen. So this is a sign that there's a potential for some thunder and lightning, but I'm not overly concerned about super strong wind gusts, hail, or tornadoes, in fact. So good and bad news there. But yeah, we could have some thunderstorms as the front is moving through, and it's trending earlier. So Thursday evening is when those thunderstorms could be coming through. When we take a closer look, you'll see that here, thunderstorms in Live Oak County as early as 9:30. So I should have saved that. So right here, thunderstorms in Live Oak as the front is moving through B County. Then we lose the high-res data after that. We have to go to our low resolution but long range data, which is not as clean or as clear. Essentially, it's kind of like when you have your high-res data, you have like all the teeny tiny puzzle pieces. When you're looking at your long range data, you just have a few of those puzzle pieces, and you're trying to put together the puzzle with some pieces missing, essentially. And so you're filling in the gaps, but with what you think might happen. And the high-res is just better, but it takes more computing time, and so it can't go out as far, because then by the time the information came out, it would be too old, you know? So that's a little insight in how weather computer models work. But yes, that's the long story for Britain about, oh, we do have Ville probably, but I haven't, like, again, I don't really have time to show that on TV. So Ville would show the storm heights. I also, yeah, so yes and no. I don't know if I have that on this computer though, so. Yeah, you can always be a meteorologist anytime, Britain. But anyway, the short answer to Britain's question is yes. Some thunderstorms late Thursday night, evening, and into Friday morning. Then we'll zoom back out. So, and get the big picture. So essentially, we still have that crisscrossing going on, right? That's creating convection. It's a different overrunning pattern than what we saw last time. It was more of a straight on crisscross, which kept the warmer air in place. This is still the cooler air. I don't think we're going to necessarily see a big layer of warm air or an inversion, essentially, but what we are going to see is just a ton of moisture throughout the atmosphere, and that's going to keep us in a rainy period, and there is still that crisscross action going on, which is helping to create convection as well. And something special about this front is a coastal low is expected to form, and what that's going to do is A, create some waves out in the Gulf of Mexico for anyone that serves, and B, what that coastal low is going to do is keep us with higher rain chances over the weekend. So when we take a closer look at what could potentially happen, I'm going to get rid of the words so we can just look at the rain. So it does look like there's a chance Friday night football playoff games. I know yesterday I was saying will be drying out. I think there is still some light rain. It's not going to be the heaviest rain. That will be earlier on Friday, but some light to moderate rainfall, especially near the coast and South Texas, like far South Texas, as in the valley. Closer to the valley, you have a better shot at having some rain during any area of football playoff games. Further north, anything closer to San Antonio, a little bit less of a chance for that heavier rain or even light rain, but still cloudy and gloomy. As we head into Saturday, I know, I don't know if you're watching, but someone, and I'm so sad I can't remember your name right now, has been asking a lot about November 11th. And so essentially Saturday looks like our least amount of rain, but you can see here it is still, there's still a chance for some rain. Then Sunday, that coastal low is still kind of just hovering out in the area. It starts to move back north, and when that happens, that's when we're going to see another round of heavy rainfall. It looks like Monday will be the next day of heaviest rain. So I'm going like 80 to 90% chance of rain Friday, especially in the morning. Then Saturday, I knocked it down 40, 50%. Then into Sunday, it goes up a little bit, and by Monday, back up to around that 80% chance of rain. So then the coastal low slides out, we dry out a bit heading into Tuesday. So we've got a decent amount of rainfall. In fact, we could put this would be fun to do. We can get rid of the clouds and change the radar to accumulation. Oh, I did the wrong one. Long range clouds, goodbye. Long range rain, we want accumulation. So while we let this think, I'll look at any of your questions. I'm hoping to serve. I don't know, it might be too crazy for me. Ugg season is upon us, except it will be rainy, Aaron, so you have to be careful with the Uggs. Make sure you have the water protectant coat on them. Should we expect rain for Thursday night? Yeah, there is a chance of rain Thursday night. It's spotty though. So Thursday night you can see, I think at night we start to lose our rain chances, but it depends on where that game is. So whoever's speaking on behalf of the Lopez fam, where is your game? Because if it's closer to San Antonio, yes, rain and thunderstorms are possible for Thursday night games. If it's closer to Corpus Christi, we'll have a little bit of a break, but toward the end of the game, so about 11 for areas there near Mathis and then midnight more so for Corpus. So it depends on where your game is. Then here's a look at rainfall totals. So I don't have the little sheet or the little key that tells us what the rainfall totals mean, but I can tell you, don't you worry. Here we go, precip accumulation. So right here we are going to be seeing, so the red is 2.5 inches. The purple is 2 to 2.5, and the orange is 4 to 5 inches. And so this is the total through the entire event. So you will see as the front slides through, we're talking 1/2 inch to 1 inch, depending on where the heavy rain and the thunderstorms set up. Saturday, we add a little bit more rain. Sunday, a little bit more rain right along the coast and south of Corpus Christi. And then as we head into Monday, that's when we see some of our higher rainfall totals. So if you know anything about weather, this is one model. This is the European model. When we're looking at these forecast trends that I'm about to show you, or that you might have saw on the graphic that I posted earlier on Facebook, we are trending higher. And so now we're going to look at the GFS model as it loads in. Portland, there is a chance of rain. Yes, Elizabeth. The thunderstorms will be Thursday night, more so for areas north, closer to San Antonio. Portland on Friday night, definitely could see some light rain. I think the heaviest rain will be out, but it will be kind of spotty light rain Friday night. Rain on Alice, rain on Thursday, and Alice during playoff. Yes, it does look like that. What time is the game? Lydia, I don't know the sports world like our sports anchors and reporters do, Brandon and of course Chris Tomlinson. So yeah, 50s and 60s starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, possibly Tuesday, 50s and 60s, definitely. So here's a look. The GFS model has heavier rain with the front moving through, so we could see 2 to 4 inches. Depending on where those heavy bands set up with the front. Then it still keeps the low in the area, dumping rain higher in rainfall totals. So it looks like the GFS is trending more 5-6 inches through Tuesday, and then it moves out. So yeah, those are the trends. Both models, when they kind of agreed, that's a sign that it's trending one way or another. And so it does look like we are trending toward the higher amount of rainfall. 7 p.m., yes, so let's go back. So the game will probably get started okay. This front has been trending earlier though. So here's the close view. So again, this is one forecast model, so don't take it as exact. However, there is a chance, if the front moves any faster, that there could be some thunderstorms in the area of Alice. You might get lucky and they don't move in until closer to 11, but yes, there is a chance for thunderstorms and heavy rainfall, especially by 11, so toward the end of the game at this point. There's one more high-res model I can look at, so let's do that. It's not quite as high res as the one we were just looking at, but it will help fill in some of the gaps also. See, it's stopping also, and I don't know why. It's so interesting. Anyway, yes, there is a chance. How does Saturday and Sunday looks? Light rain. Then the 5 News. Thanks, Amy. Thanks for your comment. So yeah, there is a chance for more so light rain Saturday and Sunday. Let's go back. Let's just take this back to how it originally started before I started manipulating everything on the fly. So here we have it. This is Friday evening, a little bit of a break. Saturday, we may see a break, but some light rain definitely still in the forecast Saturday. Heavier rain further south and along the coast will be possible. So not the best beach day, but the waves will be pumping with this low. So essentially when you get a low, it's similar. It works in similar ways over the ocean as a hurricane does. Not exactly the same, but it changes the pressure above the water. And when the pressure changes above the water, it also changes below the water. And so that low disrupts the pressure. And essentially the low is causing, well, it's causing rising air, but it's dropping the pressure. And so in return, you kind of start to get higher pressure because the water kind of wants to rise as well toward that low above the water. And so essentially low pressure systems create larger waves because it's kind of starting to create more of a swell. As the pressure changes, the water kind of starts to rise, and then you get waves developing with the wind that is also associated with the low pushing on the water and slowly creating that wave, and then there's energy under the wave, and we get big waves. And that's what we're looking at the beach. But of course, it's not going to be the best beach conditions. Additionally, we're going to see northeast wind. And so when we see northeast winds, we get northeast swells. And what those northeast swells do is essentially creates the Ekman spiral underneath the water. And what that does is because of the Coriolis effect, which is essentially the Earth spinning. And if you've ever done some type of science experiment where you're like, I think NASA in Houston had something like this, where you kind of sit in this little thing that spins and you like kind of throw a ball at somebody while you're spinning. The ball's not going to go where you think it is, not just because you're spinning, but essentially everything kind of turns to the right because the Earth is spinning. In the northern atmosphere, it's the left in the southern hemisphere, but the northern hemisphere. So essentially what is going to happen is with that Ekman spiral, your winds are going downshore, right? And then the Coriolis is going to push the water to the right of the wind or the swell, and that's going to push more water up the coast. So when we get northeast winds, we get higher tides, and on top of that, it's going to be a new moon. So we tend to get higher tides at full moon and new moon, and so the timing is not good for the tide situation. So not the best beach week, but big waves are expected. So take with that what you want. Anyway, then as the low starts to move back to the north, we get another surge of moisture. Let's take a look at the bigger picture. So right here, you can see that surge of moisture coming up. And then with the low, it's going to push that across the coastal bend. So more rain Monday. The heavier rain starts Sunday evening again and then pushes north through Tuesday afternoon, essentially. So that's what we're looking at in terms of rainfall. Great questions, y'all. Corky, thank you. I hope it's helpful. Yeah, thank you, Lydia. It's fun. I'm glad we're starting this. It's been a lot of fun. This has been one of the most interactive ones, so I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope you are learning something and it makes sense. Yeah, I can give more details here because there's no time limits, right? During the news, essentially, we have news to tell and we have weather to tell, and you get restricted on your time. So, and I can't see any questions that y'all are asking on the news either. There's no interaction that way. So this is nice. This is a nice interaction, and I am enjoying it, and I hope you are too. So that was the Futurecast breakdown. A lot of information there. To tie it all up in a nice bow, this is the trends that I have been noticing. So the cold front is arriving earlier on Friday morning, possibly for some of our northern counties Thursday evening now. 60s for afternoon highs through Monday, at least, possibly Tuesday. So it's trending colder than it was yesterday. Heavy rain with the front, that's trending higher than it was yesterday. 2 to 4 inches are likely through Monday. Some areas could definitely see more. And so for tomorrow, I'll have a map drawn, kind of like the one I showed you with the model data, but it will be my interpretation. And then Friday, we do get northerly wind gusts that could be up to 30 miles per hour. With those thunderstorms that could move through Thursday evening, we may see some higher wind. The models aren't really picking up on that yet because that's a fine detail, but the high-res models will start to pick up on that. And so then 4 to 6 waves, definitely possible. I didn't redraw this, but I'm just curious what it's going to look like, the wave forecast. Then we'll do temperatures, and then I'll look at your questions, and then we'll tie this up with the 7-day, and we'll be done. So bear with me. We're going to get it all taken care of. So now let's get the wave forecast for my curiosity and in case anybody else is curious as well. So I'm going to have to remove the low because I drew this yesterday. I didn't update it for today. So maybe here. Okay, there's the cold front. So essentially right now we've got strong southeast wind. That's pushing the waves on shore. Our tide's been running a little high, but it's actually lower than it was when we had our full moon by Halloween. And it's going to get higher because of the Ekman spiral. So then here's the low. You can really see the wind starting to develop the low right there. Yeah, that's when the waves are really going to pick up. So once that coastal low develops, that's when our waves start to ramp up. And so there we have it. So that light blue is 4 to 6 foot waves. That's close. That's probably more offshore than near shore, but that's pretty big. At least 3 to 5 near shore. Then as the low shifts closer to South Padre Island, then we get the 4 to 6 across the board. We get our downshore winds as well. It would be perfect if this low was like up here. That would be more of a perfect forecast because that would bring offshore winds and create the same kind of effect of low pressure over the water, but it's to our south, so you win some, you lose some. And I don't know where the low just went because it definitely needs to come back up. So, and it kind of hangs out here. But yeah, anyway, in case anybody is fishing and you want to avoid the rough water or you want to try to surf the rough water, I will say these waves will be dangerous. Odds are I probably won't surf because they'll be too big for me. But it will be fun. So 4 to 6. This forecast is showing Saturday. I didn't have those until Monday. Yeah, Monday we could get a gale warning based on 8 to 12 foot waves out in the offshore. Wow, things really ramp up heading into next week. Look at that. So the orange is 12 to 14. So we're talking 8 to 14 foot swells out in the Gulf. So anyway, fascinating. It's the new moon. So it's not a full moon. I think the next full moon is the beaver moon, but we're approaching the new moon first before we get to the full moon. So anyway, that's our wave forecast. Last thing I wanted to show you is the long-range model data for temperatures. So the blue is the cold air behind the front, the orange is the warm air ahead of the front. So this has Friday at 11:30. San Antonio is down 58. So that's about a 20-degree temperature difference between Corpus ahead of the front and San Antonio behind the front. Then the front stalls over our area. So I don't think we're going to see quite as drastic of a temperature drop as San Antonio does. However, we are going to get a temperature drop. So it looks like Friday afternoon, this model, this is the Euro, I'm pretty sure, and it has been trending warmer than the rest. And I think in this scenario, we're going to be colder than the models have really been indicating. So I'm going to edit it so we can look at the different runs. But this one is still holding on to 70s. And then on Saturday, it's showing upper 60s. But this one has been trending warmer. Upper 60s. I think will be cooler than this model. And then it gets much cooler by Monday and Tuesday. So Monday at 2:30, 60 degrees. Much cooler Monday with that low back over us. Anyway, now we'll look at, this is also just kind of like an inside look at how I put together my forecast, because new data comes out once first edition is over, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get on here and talk about the new data and live. Why not? It seems like y'all have been enjoying it. So we've got one more thing I wanted to, oh, the GFS. We're gonna have to change the numbers also to the GFS. Okay, so now, Thursday, you can see 70s. GFS is trending earlier than the Euro also, with the high-res data barely reaching out this far and trending earlier also. That makes me also want to lean more toward the GFS. So 15-degree temperature difference there between Corpus Christi and San Antonio, which seems about right. Then here's where the front's arriving. So the GFS is a midnight to 2 a.m. arrival. Temperatures fall, and they're going to stay cool. About 63, so you can see that's a big difference. The Euro was still in the 70s on Friday. This one's 63. I'm leaning more toward the GFS based on how the high-res model is shaping up as well. Then we're staying, like, we may not fall into the 50s overnight just because we're going to have too much humidity, but we're definitely going to stay there, upper 50s, mid to low 60s, pretty much until we get to Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So it's a nice, cool, but damp period, which we really can't complain about because we were hot and, well, we're always hot and humid, but damp in terms of actual rainfall is definitely a good thing. So I'm trying to see if there's any new questions. Thanks, Joe. Good fishing weather. So I don't know good fishing weather, as well as I know good surfing weather, Ryan, but I don't think big waves are great for fishing. And so what this front is going to do is create some big waves and really shake things up in the Gulf and make it just uncomfortable to be out in the water. So the jetties are going to be rough. The waves are going to be crashing high. The wind is going to be rather breezy. We're talking 15 miles per hour at least sustained all weekend long, with some gusts higher, closer to 20, 30 miles per hour. Additionally, don't be on the water during the storms. Yeah, especially not lightning. Lightning will be Thursday night. I don't see a lot of lightning. Monday could come with some lightning as well, but I don't see a lot of lightning Saturday and Sunday. Mostly just light rain, more off and on, more scattered Saturday and Sunday. Sunday evening, the rain starts to pick up again, and then Monday, more rain. So, yeah. But anyway, I know cold fronts are kind of good at getting the fish moving, but it's going to be a rough one on the water, so I don't think it's good fishing weather. But that's not my forte. Yeah, Adam said not good fishing weather at all this weekend. Yeah, I would agree. I would not be fishing, but again, that's not my activity of choice. Although I do love eating some good seafood, so I appreciate everyone that does fish. But yeah, that's all I have. Oh, we'll show the 7 days. So these are the numbers I interpreted. Here's the wind forecast for anybody that wants to be outside. Of course, remember there's also rain, but north winds 10 to 20. I would say gusts 30 to 35 Friday. Saturday 10 to 15, Sunday 10 to 16, so not the strongest wind, but still gusty, about 20 to 25. And then Monday, our gusts pick up as that low pressure moves back north. That's going to create a stronger wind as well. So 12 to 22 northeast winds there on Monday, and those northeast winds are also going to push the tide up. So parking on the beach, not ideal, especially with the new moon. I believe the new moon it's either on the 11th or the 13th when I looked it up this morning, but it's coming up this weekend regardless. So we're also not going to have light at night. The moon's going to be dark. So yeah, here's the wave forecast I have. It looked like it was trending up for Saturday and Sunday. Monday could be even higher. When our waves get too high, they don't crash right on our beach. You would have to go really far out to get the good waves, which is dangerous. So just something to think about. And then additionally, here's our 7-day forecast. These are the numbers that the team, essentially, we worked together to come up with these, but essentially looking at Alan's forecast and then Faith's forecast over the weekend, and then when Kristen is forecasting also, and then additionally with the new data that comes out in the morning, these are the numbers I came up with. So 88 today, 90 Wednesday. Again, those will near record highs by about 3 degrees. So there's a chance we could break the record or at least tie it. 85 Thursday, 66 Friday. So 50s, upper 50s, low 60s. It's trending colder, but I think this is a pretty good starting point as well for when the front moves through. Essentially, it's going to be a soggy weekend. It'll be a good weekend to get some chores done, cook some soup. Let me know what your favorite soup is. That sounds good. Now I'm looking forward to that. So chilly weather, both in terms of the temperature and the food that you might want to make. Yum, it's almost lunchtime. Anyway, this has gone on very long, so I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Keep up with all of our forecasts on the app, and thanks for joining.